welcome to all the men and women of the West and the East, I suppose. And those in between, we don't care about. I'm joking. I couldn't resist this joke. I probably should have not gone with it. Hope you all like the new intro. I think it looks cool. And it got the Dan seal of approval.
Yes.
But anyways, here we are with a new kind of podcast. We're going to be basically doing fantasy talks where we talk in like 5-minute or 6-minute form about a fantasy movie or book or something. Just one point to the story or whatever. And then we're going to basically just, move to something other part. And yes, we'll be continuing some of our stuff like our Riddle of Steel podcast on Brothers Heroine and whatnot. And doing all that because, these shorter form videos were popular and were good for in-between content between the longer stuff. So the request was, we had Narnia last time, which should be uploaded by now. But now it's Dragonslayer. Dragonslayer was a 1981 classic, which came out just as the dark fantasy craze started to take off in the 80s. And this was a great craze. This yielded a lot of good movies. Some mediocre ones, but it was people looking back on the dark fantasy stuff of the 50s, 60s, and 70s with nostalgia. Because an entire generation grew up with those movies, and this was the culmination of those movies. Dragonslayer, in a lot of ways, was the best one. In a lot of ways. And it was the one that jump-started the trend in the 80s. And, of course, we have a story about a young magician boy whose master dies, or seemingly dies. Turns out he was just almost dead, not completely dead. As Princess Bride would point out, there is a difference. And he goes to, help a group of villagers that had requested a Dragonslayer. He's not yet slain a dragon, but, there's a first time for everything. But this movie was very Anglo-Saxon at its roots. Now, the point I wanted to discuss was Valerian, the female love interest. What's interesting with her is that because the lottery is for everyone's daughters, her father, a blacksmith, got the idea of disguising his daughter as a boy and raising her to be a son. There's obvious shades of Mulan here. But he did it for very, very apparent reasons. He was trying to protect her. But Valerian developed a bit of a temper. And she does have a bit of an identity crisis and a bit of cognitive dissonance because she's a girl. And she was raised to be a boy, but she's still female. So she has the natural propensity for wanting love, for wanting to dress up. Well, she's still got propensity for fashion, for finding herself a husband, for the feminine arts. Even as she does enjoy a bit of a impulsive streak that honestly puts some of the men in the movie to shame. Ironically, I'll actually say that in some ways I found the two most masculine characters in here to be the blacksmith, her dad. So she had a very macho father who tried to set a good masculine example. But you can tell he loves his daughter in every scene. And when she comes out of the closet, so to speak, he does try to do his utmost to help her, support her, and even encourage her in love. So you have here one of the most wholesome father-daughter relationships ever shown in cinema. But then you've got, of course, her love interest, who is a young sorcerer boy, who was rejected by his family and sent to live with a sorcerer. So he's got a bit of his own chip on his shoulder. He's got a temper, but he's probably the most masculine in some ways in that young man, boyish energy way. He's eager to prove himself. In a lot of ways, I think there was inspiration for Brother Bear taken from him. He's obviously the inspiration for Kenai. And even for, to an extent, Denahi. He's got shades of both both characters have shades of him, I should say. But I'll turn it over to Dan and say, what do you think of Valerian disguising herself as a boy and having a hothead streak?
Honestly, the father was right because he wanted to protect his daughter from a ridiculous lottery that had no reason.
It obviously saved the locality for a bit, but the dragon would occasionally still come out and breathe fire and destroy the area. And the king's stupid hope was that they could outlast a dragon. This thing's freaking immortal.
Why not go to the wizard far earlier?
Well, the king didn't think of that. And didn't want to do that for fear of upsetting the dragon. While Valerian got the idea and decided to impulsively launch herself on this quest on her own.
And Valerian, yes, she's impulsive. But there was a part of her that was forced to repress herself.
Yeah, and as we see when she first tries on a dress, the minute she's no longer repressing, she's very keen to take up a feminine identity.
Because she was denied it.
Yeah.
Not because of her father, but because...
for fear. And she's kind of done with living in fear. But what's more is that the director and producers did something interesting. They ended up playing with the audio for her voice so that it would be lower and deeper before the reveal. And then when she's no longer in disguising herself, they had her use her natural voice. And they didn't filter the voice. What do you think?
Sometimes this kind of...
auto-tuning?
Auto-tuning and technology is a really useful tool.
Yeah. And it also it doesn't help that, on the other hand, she's very beautiful. And, you kind of go, wow. They gave her a boyish haircut, which is good. But, once you see her underwater and once you see her in a dress, you go, yeah, everybody was blind. She's hot. But anyways, that's all we got for you all right now. So don't forget to smash that like and that subscribe button. And we've also got a crowdfund we're editing for it. And so do prep your wallets because on June 2nd it's dropping. So hopefully we'll have the link ready for you all down below in the comment section. And don't forget to check out our Royal Road, where we've got a bunch of web novels that are being updated and are being written. And check out our Buy Me a Coffee or Patreon accounts down below in the comment section, because why not? You can get access to one of our books in its entirety, The Brotherhood of the Gemstone, our Lord of the Rings. Even if you pay like just $1 or $3, you can gain access, and you can then read, review, and decide whether you like it or not. So until next time, do take care, subscribe, and all that jazz.